and welcome to Friday evening's Look East. Coming up, the government told us to get fit by getting on our bikes. But is everyone ready for a cycling revolution?
We'd like to see segregated infrastructure like is commonly seen in other parts of Europe. We'd like to be able to ride our bikes in safety.
First tonight, how cycling has been put at the heart of the government's Get Fit message as Boris Johnson commits millions of pounds to the health of the nation. Welcome news in places like Cambridge, which today became the first city in the country to have a Dutch-style roundabout, which gives priority to pedestrians and cyclists. Among this week's proposals, £50 vouchers for bike repairs, as well as money for new cycle lanes. But how much difference will that make in a place like Wellingborough, described as one of the least cycling-friendly places in England? In a moment, we'll be speaking to Ben Schofield, who spent the day in Northamptonshire. It's a different story in Wellingborough, a town where cyclists are few on the ground. Our political correspondent, Ben Schofield, is there for us now. Ben.
Yes, Mo, welcome to Wellingborough. As you say, 50 miles from Cambridge, but a far different place for cyclists and for cycling than the university city down the A14. Now, behind me is the start of what's called a critical mass cycle ride, the idea being that cyclists gather en masse and take to the streets to reassert their rights to be there. But a survey in 2018 revealed that just 30% of people in Wellingborough said that they had walked or cycled in the past month. The question is that revelation about cycling because of the poor infrastructure in the town?
Wellingborough, which cyclists say is a hostile environment for those on two wheels.
The crossing is ludicrous and it does need to be changed. These chicanes are just so awful. They stop anyone who's on a bicycle that's adapted, that's longer, and they are difficult for even a normal sized bicycle to pass. Then once you get into the middle, onto the traffic island, it's not even big enough to sit there with your bike whilst you wait for it to be free from traffic to pass.
Samuel Shoesmith, campaigning for better cycling infrastructure. He says poorly designed and maintained cycle routes part of the problem.
This makes no sense, and for years I've said please remove these. There's been no action, and the recent policy document by government said that these signs all need to go. It makes no sense, and there's so many around the town.
Wellingborough came bottom of a national cycling and walking league table, but could the COVID crisis bring real change?
We have got no adult bikes and about 4 juniors.
This shop would normally have more than 100 bikes to choose from, but they've sold almost everything and can't restock quickly enough.
People are going back to work on bikes now, so we're doing a lot of repairs, to keep people going backwards and forwards to work, because they'd rather do that than go on the bus at the moment.
This is how we get around as a family now. This is our people carrier.
The Jones family, bicycle evangelists. They welcomed government plans to boost cycling, but want changes brought in quickly.
If we're on the roads, drivers don't look after us and the infrastructure doesn't help. We'd like to see segregated infrastructure like is commonly seen in other parts of Europe. We'd like to be able to ride our bikes in safety, not to have to share with fast and heavy traffic, not to have to share with pedestrians, because that's not fair on us and it's not fair on them either.
I would agree that there's work to be done to improve the cycling network, but I don't think it's entirely hostile. I don't think I'd agree with that.
Wellingborough's council says it and the county council are working together to try to improve cycling in the town.
At the moment, we are looking at the cycle routes that we, as a council, are responsible for and own, and looking to see what we can do to improve those. But we do need to look with the county council at improving the links between the highway and our own cycle paths.
The government says it'll spend £2 billion boosting cycling and walking, cutting obesity and the risk of spreading COVID.
Well, these cyclists will be setting off at around about 7 o'clock tonight from here in the centre of Wellingborough to, as I say, reassert their rights to be on the streets. Talking to some of them earlier on today, they say that yes, they had a quiet time during the lockdown, but really the battle between motorist and cyclist has taken off in recent weeks, and the hostility really, they say, is greater than it was before the lockdown came in. Now, Boris Johnson is a cycling prophet, more or less. He brought Boris bikes into the capital city, of course, in London when he was mayor there. He's hoping to make us all more willing to get on our bikes. The strategy that was published on Wednesday talks about improving things like infrastructure that you saw in my film, taking away those cyclist dismount signs, removing the chicanes that cyclists have to navigate. Northamptonshire County Council say they're planning to spend around £250,000 of what's called their active travel fund, and yes, some of that will involve new cycle lanes and places for bikes to park. They're also going to improve things for pedestrians here in Wellingborough. But for the time being, goodbye from Wellingborough and goodbye from the critical mass cycle ride.
Ben, thank you.